empowering minds, amplifying voices, and transforming lives. This is the Untold Stories of Hope podcast brought to you by the Destiny Connect Foundation. Your hosts, Zion Enogewu and Puffy Medupe.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are joining us from all over the world. Welcome to another edition of Untold Stories of Hope podcast brought to you by Destiny Connect Foundation, a place where we empower mind, where we amplify voices and transform life with our unique story from individuals from all over the world who have gone through life and are here to share with us their personal experience on how they'll be able to navigate life and come out victorious. Today, it's a great one because we have somebody amazing, somebody special with us. Don't worry, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag yet. We'll get to that point. Yes, my name is Zion Enogewu. I'm your host, joining you all the way from Nigeria. And you know, I don't do this all by myself. I have my brother, my friend with me on stage all the way from South Africa, Mr. Puffy.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Zion. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition, as Mr. Zion said, of Untold Stories of Hope podcast, brought to you by Destiny Connect Foundation. Indeed, my name is Papi Midupi, all the way from South Africa. And we are grateful, to have you today. This is where we really empower minds, amplify voices, and we transform lives. This is what we do. Remember, you can also follow the podcast on Destiny Connect Foundation, all the pages, social links, which is LinkedIn. You can also follow YouTube, Facebook, and you can also visit destinyconnectfoundation.org so that you can be able to get more information in terms of how you can become a part of this podcast on full-time basis. And yes, today we are grateful to be having an exceptional leader, a very, very phenomenal woman who's a global impactor. She's a leader. She's a transformational strategist. She's an author, of many articles and books. She's a speaker. She's a change agent, and she's also a social entrepreneur. So we are grateful to have Dr. Kasthuri Henry with us today, in this episode, and we will be talking to her about breaking societal limitations and embracing emotional intelligence. Welcome to Untold Stories of Hope podcast.
Thank you so much. And vanakkam, as we say in my part of the world. Happy to be here.
Yes, amazing. Thank you so much, Dr. Cass, for gracing us with your presence. I tell you, listeners at home, we are all ready to hear from your wisdom, from your years of expertise on how you will be able to navigate life, because there are many persons right now who are going through so much, who are going through a lot. And one thing we know is this: your story today will inspire them, will motivate them, will encourage them, and will give them faith to keep living their life. So, Dr. Cass, thank you so much. We appreciate your presence in our podcast today. We live in a time where stories are very, very important. We live in a time where stories, has become a change agent. So we want you to share with us a personal story of a time where you faced societal limitations. You've been in a place where you face societal limitations, and how did you overcome it?
Thank you. Thank you for that question. And it's absolutely an honor to be here, Zion and Puffy, with you both, especially as somebody who's been a part of Destiny Connect Foundation from the beginning. So it is delightful and an honor. I would go back to my childhood. I was born and raised in Sri Lanka in the middle of a genocidal war. So I was born into an environment where, as natives of the country, our colonial masters gave our country to the Aryan immigrants. And then they decided the only way to get rid of us is to rape us, kill us, and destroy us. And so I grew up watching everything humanly unimaginable that humans can do to other humans. In the name of religion, in the name of race, in the name of language. So by the time I was 10, I realized adults don't have it together. Adults don't have it together. Everybody is consumed by anger and hate and fear. And I saw how it robbed me of my childhood, robbed every child of our childhood, because we never knew if we were safe going to school and coming back, if we were safe staying home. We got raided in our home every night. It was purely figuring out, how do I navigate this anger and hate? When they raid me, how do I transcend above it? And during this whole time, one of the things I realized is I have like the first 15, 20 seconds to shift their focus and bring them back to their humanity, because wherever their anger and their hate was coming from, they're also somebody's child. They're also somebody's father. They're also somebody's brother, right? So there is humanity somewhere in there. They've been programmed to think otherwise. So I would always we would get raided between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the mornings. And my father worked in the Middle East. My mom was home with the 4 kids. And my culture, daughters are raised to be the head of the house. We're a matriarchal culture. So the 2 middle children were very friendly and very happy. And the oldest and the youngest were very terrified. And maybe it's a middle child syndrome, right? So we would open the door, we will greet them saying, oh my God, you look so tired. And my whole thing is, I know they just raped the mother and daughter next door and shot them in their female part. That's what they do, right? As part of torture. And then the things they do to men, I can't even talk about it on a recorded call. So I had to put my fear aside, and I would smile and say, oh my God, you look so tired. Why don't you take your shoes off and sit down? Let me make you a cup of tea. And while I make tea, you tell me if you want fish or chicken, I will make you dinner. And invariably, they chose. I mean, I'm standing here with you because every time they chose to have the tea and eat the meal, I am a fantastic cook today, because my cooking kept us all alive, right? And my brother and I would talk and laugh and make it fun. We were trilingual. We could speak the language. You couldn't tell what race we were. So what I learned through that process is unless you're a total sociopath, which is very rare, everybody has something good in them, regardless of how they show up. Can I show up differently and tap into that humanity that we all have? And how do I do that without bringing anger, without bringing hate, without bringing fear? And draw for my peace and my joy from inside? That is what's going to make life successful. So it's a life lesson I learned before I was 10, 11 years old. And that life lesson has carried me through. I'm 56 years now. I'm one of the happiest people. I'm always happy, always going through things in a positive way, because I know my peace and my happiness is an inside job. Nobody else can give it to me. All I can do is show up in my power, embracing those, and others most of the time will meet me, because a smile, a dance, a song, and a meal unites people.
Wow. Dr. Kaz, I really empathize, especially with such an upbringing. Sometimes I always share my story on this platform, and it's true that when you thought you have seen, the West, there's someone who's been in a worse situation than yours. And really, when you share your story now, I feel so emotional, because I can imagine such trauma and, uncomfortable or situations of discomfort that really have put you and tried to break you down. But like you said, 56 years later, you are this positive person, and someone might be thinking, how did that happen? Now, we have cultural expectations, and we also have societal norms. Most of the times they shape our minds because of how we grew up, how we were brought up, our different cultures, the normalities of things that really can be abnormal. But because we grow up in such situations, we now normalize those things as though it's a good thing, and it's not. So, how do these cultural expectations and societal norms shape our mindset? And what can we do to challenge these limiting beliefs?
I love that question, Puffy, because we are what we believe, right? What we believe shapes our thinking shapes our talking and our writing. Our talking and our writing influence our actions become our habits become our values, and our values become our destiny. So what we believe, we become. And in that sense, I consider myself very blessed to be born in a Hindu society where we worship goddesses. We don't raise daughters to say you're a princess. We raise daughters to say you're a goddess. There's a huge difference there. A princess needs rescued. A princess needs provided for. A goddess is in her power. And she has the power to shape everything around her because there is Mother Nature around you, showing you, you think you are in control? She will show you in 20 seconds who's in charge, right? So growing up in a society where we worship goddesses, the daughter is the head of the household, and daughters go on to study, get an education, get a job. When we get married, we already have a home and our husband comes to our home. So it's such a women power. And I don't use the word empowerment. Empowerment means you take the power from somebody completely and then give it to them like you're doing them a favor. That is empowerment. I'm not an empowered woman. I am a woman in my power. There's a huge difference. And that is an experience from my culture. And when we are born, the Hindu community believes in astrology and astrophysics because we had science long before the Western world existed, right? And so we look at the planetary positions a child is born. So date, time, and the exact millisecond in the geography of the longitude and the latitude the child is born. And through astrophysics, they can predict, not exactly tell, they can predict what are the possibilities of this child's life's trajectory as the planets move and the energies affect this soul, because we are not bodies, we're souls. We don't take a father's name, we don't take a husband's name, no child does, because we're each a soul. And when we greet this way, it means the divine inside of me, my soul, is part of the energy from my maker, because the body came from my parents, my energy, the soul is mine, belongs to God. And that place of my divine sees your place of divine, because regardless of your outside package, there is a divine inside of you. And when my divine sees the divine inside of you, I recognize it and I honor it because we come from the same place. So coming from that culture, coming from that belief, and I think it became deeper rooted for me because I grew up with such anger and hate and destruction. I read a lot to figure out what is the meaning of life. Why are half the adults were terrified and the other half the adults were angry and everybody was consumed by hate? Nobody wins in that situation. So how do we get past it? And so going back, and I didn't have to read my history, my philosophy in another man's language, because I speak the oldest human language that is more than 6,000 years old. So I go and read in my own language to get the raw meaning of what it was intended without anybody's bias from a culture that believes in nonviolence. So I was named Kasthuri because it was foretold that I am going to be away from my parents, away from my mother, away from my motherland. I am going to be the one raising my siblings. I needed something to hold on to. And that was my name, because my name nobody can take from me. And Kasthuri means everything that child needs is already inside them. All they need to do is understand that, become aware of it, and draw from inside, and life is going to be okay. So my name itself was part of the strength, my culture, my language, my philosophy of my people, the Hindu people. It's technically not a religion. We go to every place of worship. We value every path to finding the divine. And so it comes from a place of peace, and it allowed me to find my peace, regardless of what's going on inside. Because the message I always remember, two lessons I remember: a ship never sinks from the water on the outside, it only sinks from the water we let inside. And I get to choose what I let inside. And two, we water the roots of the tree, but we expect nothing from the roots. We never look for whatever we want from where we invest, right? So fundamental philosophy of my people is duty to man is duty to God, and we're not entitled to the fruits of our labor. You stay connected, but you don't get attached. Connection is a soul thing. Attachment is an ego thing. And if you can detach your soul from your ego, then you expect nothing. Therefore, you don't get angry, you don't get disappointed, you don't get sad. But you're connected because at a soul deep level, it's all part of the same creation. So it's these mindsets, these philosophies. I'm a finance executive. I run multi-billion-dollar finance operations for people like Warren Buffett, for massive pension funds, right? Foreign governments. This is not how traditionally a finance person talks. But this is who I am. Finance is what I do, but this is exactly who I am.
Wow, Dr. Gas, thank you so much. Just listening to your story, I've just been blown away. I'm like, whoa. Now, this is the reason why stories are very powerful. If you have not shared your story, we don't have a glimpse of things that we have been through. And thank you so much for being vulnerable enough to take us back, and share with us your background, your story. And I tell you, for as many persons who've been listening to this podcast, they will be so inspired. I love it when you said what you believe you become. That was very, very profound. And the other point you mentioned, that we are not empowered, we walk in our power. I like, drop the mic. That was very spot on. Thank you so much. I know many persons are going to be inspired. For those who are just joining us, this is Untold Stories of Hope podcast, brought to you by Destiny Connect Foundation, a place where we are empowering mind, amplifying voices, and transforming life. A place where everyone can share their story to inspire the world and make a positive impact. Dr. Cass, we live in a time where emotional intelligence is very, very important. Many persons have gone through so much. They have gone through a lot. And then because of what they've gone through, they feel that they are not good enough. They feel nothing good can come out of them. They feel there is no hope for them. So I'm going to ask, how can a leader use emotional intelligence, in an environment just to inspire people, to push them beyond their limits, considering the fact that because people have gone through so much, they are feeling down, they are feeling as if they are not good enough, they are feeling life cannot offer them anything good. So how can we use emotional intelligence to empower people, to inspire them to go beyond their limits?
That is such an important question, Zayan, that you ask, because too many people keep talking about, I don't deserve this. I feel like this is not me, imposter syndrome. These are all words Western psychology has given us. Okay. You go back to your grandmothers in every village, they'll slap you if you talk like that. Right. Limiting beliefs and imposter syndrome are all Western thoughts that are put into us. But what if we go beyond that to our origin? It doesn't matter what faith you were raised in. You are made in the image of your creator. And if that is a fact and you fundamentally believe that, then do you believe you were made by mistake? Let's go to the original question, right? And if we stop looking for the divine outside, because your soul is part of the divine, the most important relationship we will ever have is the divine within us. And the self-awareness journey is to truly connect with the divine inside of us. So when I know me, when I care about me, and when I love me, self-love is not about getting a massage or going to the spa or going and having a nice meal at a restaurant. Self-care is about connecting with myself, understanding that the divine is already within me. I'm not separate and apart. I am, and the divine is inside me. Now, all of a sudden, I realize if my soul is divine, then this body is a temple. All my senses are gateways for what enters and exits this temple. I start honoring me, and I start seeing the power that is already inside me. And I don't need anybody else from the outside to come and empower me, because my maker has already given me the power. Therefore, I breathe. Therefore, I am. And therefore, I just don't exist. I live. And if I can look in the mirror and connect with myself, with the divine inside of me, who decides what's right or wrong? Who decides what's beautiful or not? Who decides what's intelligent or not? Right? It's other person's yardstick. How do I make sure I am only looking at, am I getting better today compared to what I was yesterday? And am I living a life that is of meaning and purpose that I was made to live, right? And if I can do those two things, connect with the divine within me and see the power that I have already blessed to have. I had a blind roommate when I was in high school. I went to high school in India. I left home at 16, took my brothers and sisters and raised us all in India. I've been teaching since I was 16. And in that part of the world, you can do a service for service swap. I put 30 children from the slums through school, and they allowed us to go to school because I didn't have money. I was a kid, right? And through that whole process, what we realized is if we can truly give something, regardless of where we are in the depths of horror, by giving, you see your own light, and that own light that you have will lead you out of the darkness you're in, right? So we already got it. How do we get there, and how do we serve? And through that service, through other people, we see our divine reflected. And then every breath we take, every thought we have, every word we utter, if we come from a place of, it's the entryway to my temple, and is this how I want to honor my temple? It's a whole different conversation. And then humans don't have control of who we are, because we are in control, because we are in touch with the divine within us. The Hindu people, we're a culture, we're a society. We don't look for God outside. We're the only society that believes that the divine is already inside of us. We don't have a priest. We don't need to go to a temple to communicate, because it's already inside of us. And we all have a soul. Nobody can tell you where the soul came from. Your body came from your parents. But your soul truly comes from your maker. You don't know when it comes, you don't know when it goes, and you don't know what happens to it before or after. That is the magic. That is what the power is. Connect with that power, because that is the real you. Everything else is just window dressing. Does that help?
Powerful. You know, Dr. Kass, I mean, I'm just listening to you, and I can say you are a true definition of what resilience is. You know, like every time I listen to your story, then I realize that, you know, that is why you become so prominent. That is why you are this type of a leader, or the kind of a leader that you are, because experience is a better teacher. You have been there, you have been through so much, you have learned so many lessons, and therefore you can equip many people. If you've just joined us now, this is Untold Stories of Hope podcast, brought to you by Destiny Connect Foundation. We are still here with the phenomenal Dr. Kasthuri Henry, all the way from the US in Belize. And believe you me, we are learning a lot from her. We are, we are just transitioning into this world of understanding. You spoke about how you are a finance person, but believe you me, I hear this greater, being in you, other than just finances. As you said, you are not just empowered, you are the power. You are carrying the power. Now, we live in society where emotions really take over. And when I listen to your story, Dr. Cass, I can tell that you have mastered the art of emotional intelligence. Through the situations and the experiences that you've been through, you have mastered the art of emotional intelligence. How does this emotional intelligence played a role in your personal and professional growth? You can give us an example, because clearly you have much knowledge and experience in terms of emotional intelligence and how to apply it in your life.
Thank you, Puffy. So emotional intelligence has 4 components, right? First is self-awareness. Second is self-management. And then it is social awareness and relationships across society. Everything starts from inside. So if we are able to connect with ourselves and then manage our emotions, if I don't manage my emotions, everybody else is going to push my buttons and I'm going to be a remote control. And I'm going to erupt every time somebody wants to push my buttons. And then I am no longer in control of my life. Other people are controlling me, right? So if I am supposed to be in my place of power, then I can't be manipulated. And for me not to be manipulated, I need to be self-aware and I need to manage my emotions. I'm not saying don't feel the emotions. We are supposed to be angry. We're supposed to be sad. But who do I get angry with? When, where, how, and to what extent? And what action do I take to meaningfully put that anger to a positive outcome? That is emotional intelligence. How do I show up in my power and meet people where they are and honor them regardless of what they do, because they exist and they too are a part of the divine? That is the social awareness that gives me the power to then influence them. People only get influenced by people who they trust and who they feel good about. People don't remember what you did for them. They always remember how you made them feel. And how do you make, when we see 4 puppies, one is black, one is white, one is brown, and one is spotted, do we go and pick only the puppy that is our color? No, we go and play with all the puppies, right?
Yeah.
Why is that? Our brain isn't naturally designed to look at color when we look at puppies or kittens. Why are we programming it to do that for children, right? So these are all learned behaviors. And if we can train ourselves to come from a place of that kindness, that compassion, I say go beyond empathy. Empathy is about feeling what you feel, but compassion is taking action based on what I'm feeling. So compassion is important, and being in that place of peace is important. And how do I bring it all together in a way that I am showing up in my place of power with kindness? People don't realize the most courageous thing we can each do is show up with kindness and compassion and be in our place of grace no matter what happens. That is real courage.
Yeah.
Punching somebody in the face is not. That is lack of self-control. That is lack of emotional intelligence. So how do we learn to manage our emotions and show up socially and influence the change and be a part of the change while being in our state of grace, in our place of peace? To me, that is emotional intelligence.
You mentioned something so powerful. You mentioned the word control, and also self-control. And I can attest that there are so many people out there, Dr. Cass, literally now, who feel that they don't have control over their lives or they don't have control over situations. There are people who live in total discouragement. There's someone out there watching now, they feel hopeless. There are people out there who feel that they can never become anything, as you mentioned in the beginning, to say there are people who speak negative, upon their lives, about themselves. And that's why I said, when I look at you, I see a definition of resilience. Now, when we look at all these people who are discouraged, hopeless, someone out there who feels like they want to give up, what are some key emotional intelligence skills that can help individuals overcome societal limitations?
Fantastic question. I would say start looking at nature. Don't look at humans, look at nature. When you see a bird sitting on a branch, happily chirping and singing, is it there because it's confident that the branch won't break? No, it's confident that if the branch breaks, it can fly. Right? You look at the bees, they collect honey, and in their lifetime, each of them don't even collect enough honey for a teaspoon. But they do their duty, their sacred purpose, right? And do you know honey is the only food that never spoils, and it's made by bees. Humans can't replicate it, right? So every little creature, in Christianity, they say have the faith of a mustard seed. A mustard seed sits there knowing that it has everything inside of it to sprout into a plant. I mean, if you're from a culture where you have mango trees, jack trees, moringa trees, look at the size of those seeds. If that little seed can sit and wait for the right time to sprout, to become a tree, to nurture life, to give hope, to sustain life, we have so much more starting, right? So I always say, look at nature. Mother Nature is teaching us. I always tell people, go out every evening and look at the moon. It's never the same. It's growing, it's shrinking. And ask yourself, what is the moon teaching me? Regardless of how the others see me, I am whole. I am going to rise up and I am going to shine and I'm going to share my light regardless of I'm a full moon or a new moon or somewhere in between. Everything we need in life, we don't need books. Mother Nature is teaching us. It's the ancient wisdom. You go back to ancient Africa, you go back to ancient Asia, you come to ancient Americas with the natives, right? Native Americans. That's where the wisdom came from. Nature has the wisdom man can't give, because what man teaches, what humans teach one another, is to control and manipulate. What Mother Nature teaches us is to sustain and live a life of purpose and know our power and embrace our power. So my advice is always look to nature, because you are a part of nature. The divine inside of you is also the same power that creates everything around you. Plants have souls, birds and animals have souls. There's divine inside all of them. Learn.
That is absolutely amazing. When you spoke about people do not remember much, but how you make them feel. They don't remember what you said, but how you made them feel. If a bird is, on top of a branch, it doesn't have confidence in the branch, but in the fact that it can fly. We are living in the world. What I understand from what you're saying, Dr. Kass, is that impact is more important, to impact the lives of many people as you can. I mean, when I follow your story, you spoke how you took your siblings to India, you took the accountability, the responsibility, to impact their lives, to get them to India. You started teaching at the age of 16, like you said, and this is how you developed this resilience. This is how you develop the power you are carrying. This is how you develop the control, that you spoke about. Now, I mentioned earlier that societal limitations are something that can make any person, or so societal standards or limitations are something that can make someone, limit themselves. If you could give one powerful message to someone who's felt trapped by societal limitations, what would it be? If someone is out there feeling trapped, they just feel hopeless and discouraged, what can you say to them?
I would say society's norms and rules are to control people. Where did they come from? They are man-made to control society so that they remain in power. Right? So I went from Sri Lanka to India. While we all look the same, we're all Hindus. They're a patriarchal culture. I'm a matriarchal culture. Everybody would say, Cass, you can't be this strong and powerful. You're a woman. You need to walk behind a man. You have to put your head down. You can't argue with men. You can't share your thoughts. You can't have your hair cut short. You need to grow your hair. What if the boy who wants to marry you wants long hair? And I always used humor. If the boy who wants to marry me wants long hair, I will give him full permission to grow his. Right? Because him wanting long hair is his business, right? So I always use humor to remind people that I am me and I am uniquely me. And my God created me this way for a purpose. And I don't need to be you, because if I'm you, then you're no longer you, right? So look at the 5 fingers in your hands. Each finger is different. You think you don't need the little finger? Try taping your little finger and trying to do everything you need to do for a whole day. You won't survive for 2 hours, right? Every finger has a purpose, but it is intentionally created differently, right? And so I always, for myself as a child, I will always look at my hands and say, oh, okay. So I am a different finger, and that's okay. Society doesn't get to tell me who I need to be, because I know who I'm meant to be. And then I always say my hair, God gave me this hair to remind me that I control nothing. Even my hair is a mess every day. It's going to do what it's going to do. There's nothing I can do to control it, right? I mean, you shaved your hair because you're not going to be dealing with it. You took control over what you could control, right? And you became uniquely you. We each have a chance to do that. And who says the person putting rules on us know better for us? Even when they come from a place of love, they're projecting their fears. They're projecting their experiences. But their fear and their experiences are not mine. This is a conversation I had with my parents throughout growing up. My mom always said, nobody's going to marry you. I'm like, good. I don't need a man to take care of me. I can take care of myself. And there's more than one way to find love, right? And the starting point of love is self-love. We can't give what we don't have. And if we become everything everybody else wants, then we have lost ourselves. And for me, the primary rule is I cannot lose myself in pursuit of serving somebody or something else. Because then what that something or somebody else is asking me is to regard the gifts I was given by my maker so that they can control me. And to me, my gifts are a gift because I am in a position to give it away. If I don't give it away, it's like I go to a party and I take a gift, but I don't give it, I bring it back. There was never a gift, right? So I am born with gifts. And my purpose in this life is to give those gifts away. And those gifts are different. You know, Einstein said, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it's going to live its whole life thinking it's stupid.
Wow.
A fish is never meant to climb a tree. Right? So we are each uniquely created for our purpose. I'm not saying disobey everybody around you, but find a way to remind them that all 5 fingers are different and you have a different purpose. And you are here to purpose. And all you want from them is their unconditional love and unconditional support. And you will be there to offer the same.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dr. Kasthuri Henry on Untold Stories of Hope podcast brought to you by Destiny Connect Foundation. We thank you so much for taking your time and coming to share your wisdom, knowledge, and really changing and impacting the lives of many people. Just quickly before you jump off, how can people contact you?
The best way to contact me, Buffy, is to get me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Easy to find. It's Dr. Kasthuri Henry. I know you will use my link when you release this. It's easy to find me because I have a very unique name. And I would say, regardless of what's going on in your life, turn to the power already inside of you because the divine is inside of you. Connect with that divine, nurture that divine, honor that divine, and live your gift and give your gift away because that is where your power is. And thank you so much for Destiny Connect Foundation for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation today. And I am delighted to be a part of Destiny Connect Foundation even before we launched it. So it is a part of who I am. It is a part of what we collectively bring to the world. And I encourage everybody to get involved and engage with Destiny Connect Foundation because our destinies are connected. Our destinies are connected. And when we live our purpose, we truly build a future for humanity that is powering each other instead of having to take power and then empower.
Thank you so much. If you've just tuned in now, we have just ended speaking to Dr. Kasthuri Henry. This is Untold Stories of Hope podcast brought to you by Destiny Connect Foundation. Remember that you can follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, and you can say destinyconnectfoundation.org so that you can get all the information. And remember that we also want to hear your untold story of hope so that you can be able to change and transform the lives of other people through your own story. Till we meet the next time, we enjoyed this edition and we just want to say thank you for watching. May everything you do become successful. Thank you so much. Shap shap.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Untold Stories of Hope podcast. We hope you enjoyed and you were inspired by today's conversation. Remember, you can get more access to resources plus join a thriving global community of change makers by visiting our website at destinyconnectfoundation.org. Please subscribe to our channel and spread the word. Don't forget to turn the notification on. Until next time, keep inspiring your world.